Amen, amen, amen. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everybody. I am so excited to be with you guys again. Golly, I love y'all, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. So, good evening again. Thank you all for joining us for this Bible class. We are concluding our series making the senses of God's word. We have been dealing with loving the Lord, our base scripture. Let me open my notes. I got so excited. We have been dealing with our base scripture, uh, Matthew uh, 22, 30, 22, verse 34 through 40, that simply says that we are to love the Lord thy God with all, not part, not some, not a little bit, not even 90%. That's a big amount. But he said, with all 110% of your heart, your mind, and your soul. And the question comes, exactly how do we love him with all of our heart, our mind, and our soul? We have to love him and serve him in our everyday being, in our everyday life, in our everyday activities. And the way we do that is we do that with how we do our everyday things. We use our senses. We use our sense of touch, of sight, of hearing, of smell, of taste. But tonight, we are going to talk about loving Him and serving Him with that sixth sense that we don't always talk about, that some people don't even know about, is loving Him with our space. Mm. I got so many golden nuggets on this thing tonight. I'm going to try and get through it tonight. We might have to pick it up on next week, but we have to talk about this thing. Because if we love him like we say we do, if we really are serving him like we say we are, if we really are all sold out like we claim and make try to make people believe, then we have to learn how to love God with our space. What does that mean? So, let me give you a recap of what space is, the sense of space. The sense of space our uh, is our perception of our movement and our position. So how we move and how we position ourselves, right? And as we are, for those of you that are drivers, you don't just start driving, you just turn the car off and go. You have to maneuver based on what is in your way, right? You don't just, well, some do, we pray for them kind of people, especially in traffic today. I know somebody was praying for me today. I know somebody was praying for me today because I ain't used none of my un-Sunday school words, none of my un-Sunday school words in traffic today, because people they was trying to share the same lane and the same position that I was in. It was like, you can't do that. You can't do that. Two objects cannot be in the same space, occupy the same space. Either one of us gonna be in it, or the other one's gonna be in it. But we can't do the same thing. Even if we were on top of each other, we're still not occupying the exact same space. And so, but here's the thing with God. God is everywhere. God can occupy the same space, but he shouldn't have to. But we have to be aware of our movement and our position. And what that means is that this thing affects the way we move, our coordination, our actions, right? I laugh about my son because he still thinks that he is the Flash, that he or some type of supernatural being where he can walk through walls, and he ain't figured it out yet in his 21 years that he can't walk through walls. So I have to tell him, you got to move over walk around the wall, walk around the bench, the sofa. Man, that child and ran into some of everything. But you have an awareness, right? And we have to be aware of where we are, our movements and our position, not just in of ourselves, but our movement and our positions in the kingdom and in God. And God is saying, if you love me, if you really love me, he told Peter, if you love me, then you would feed my sheep. But here's another thing. If we love somebody, when, not even if, when we love somebody, one of the ways that we can really uh, tell that love, it's kind of, it's a close line, it's a thin line between love and hate. But one of the ways we can tell that a person has an affection or an affinity for another person is the fact that they are willing to share their space. Yeah. And that doesn't mean you have to be in the same space at the same time all the time. But for those that have a relationship, for those that express a love and a desire to be with one another, we are willing. What we're saying is, I am willing to share my space with you. And so, whereas a stranger, and we saw a lot of that during COVID, we were like, back up 6 feet. Some of us were already like that. We just didn't want everybody on us in our personal space, you know, back up. But COVID gave us a reason to tell some people to back up that we probably wanted to tell them to back up anyhow, you know. But it also made it very clear of who we wanted in our space. No matter what the risk were, we were still willing, because some people didn't abide by all of the social regulations and don't have people over and don't be throwing no parties. It also showed a willingness, an intentional and purposeful desire of who you wanted in your space, right? And so grandparents, parents, children, they still had get-togethers once it was safe, even sometimes when it wasn't safe. But that was because they were expressing, they were demonstrating that I love you so much that I want to be around you, right? One of the things in courting relationships, right? Before you all get all serious, you may be a little coy with each other. You stand over there, I stand over there. But as the relationship deepens, you all are walking together, you're talking together. You may start sharing the same soda. You may eat off each other's plates, if you like that kind of thing, and as you progress in the way God tells us we're supposed to progress in the unity and the covenant of marriage, then you begin to share your home space. You begin to share your bathing space. You begin to share your bedroom space. And for some of y'all even, we share our clothing space. When I first got married to Pastor E, I used to steal a t-shirt in a minute, and he didn't mind, right? That was kind of sexy. You know, me and his t-shirt. Praise the Lord. We going to stop right there because this is supposed to stay PG, right? But we were sharing space, right? I came from Chicago, and I didn't have a lot, but I had enough. And once we said I do, I got a whole marital counseling uh, course for this. But once I said I do, it wasn't just I do accept your last name. What I was saying is, I do accept your faults. I do accept your strong, your strong points. I do accept your weaknesses. I do accept your socks on the floor. I do accept you leaving the toilet up. No, I don't. I'm just lying on that one. I ain't gonna even lie on that one. I do not accept the toilet lid up. But what we're saying is essentially, I do accept the fact that I want you in my space. I want you where I am, and where you are, I want to be. And if we say we love God, if we're loving Him with all our heart, our mind, and our soul, how do we do that and not love Him with our space? And we have to learn how to make room for Him. One of the songs I wanted to play tonight was Jonathan McReynolds' "Make Room," but it's his lyrics says, "I make time for what I want. I choose my priorities. What it is that I want to do, I make it happen." And so, if that's the truth, right, then I will make room for you, Jesus, because you're my priority. You're my number one. And it goes into a refrain and a chorus that says, "My attitude, my schedule, my bank account, I will move all of that over so that you can occupy the space where these things are." Now, I love the way he broke that down, but the reality is many of us are not willing to share our space. We're willing to share his name, but when was the last time you made room for him? Right? I love this verse. Revelation 3 and 20 says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. And if anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and have koinonia with him. I will have fellowship with him." He says, I will come into him and eat with him, and he with me. That is indicative of being in relationship, that you are willing to share your space. Now, as humans, we don't always need to be loved up, hugged up, breathing each other's breath, smelling each other's wind breaking. Sometimes we need some space from each other, right? Because we're human, right? When I first got married, and a lot of you may have the same testimony, it was like, "Oh, I just can't do without you." I wanted to sniff Pastor E, and y'all don't judge me. I wanted to sniff him because he smelled good. I wanted to. He was my sunshine, my sunrise, my sunset, all of that craziness as we talk about, right? And I just wanted to be in his presence. Fred Hammond said, "Just to be close to you." I just wanted to be close to him, and he wanted to be close to me. And then life kicked in. And we woke up from the honeymoon phase. And we was like, "Yeah, I really like you and I love you, but it's 90 degrees. Can you like get off me? Can I have my space? Can I have room to change my mind, please?" And we needed some space from each other. Now, we could occupy the same room, and sometimes we needed to occupy different rooms, right? But we got to a point where there were times where the same space, yes, sis, yes, like, can I get room to change my mind? You know, we needed to occupy a different dimension. But even when we were separate from each other, we still had a sense of space in our relational atmosphere, that even if I'm in another room, even if I'm in another state, even if I'm in another place, I am still mindful that my actions, my movements, and my position should should be in should be in such a way that I know that he is my husband and I am his wife. So that means when I leave the house, it does not cut our relationship. He is still my husband. So when I need to move, or as in my movements, in my actions, the way I position myself, the way I reflect, the way I respond, I still need to move as if my husband is still with me. So I'm not going to go out and dishonor his name. I'm not going to go out with all my sunshine showing up top or at bottom. I'm not going to go out and dishonor him with doing something or saying something or being a certain way just because he's not in my physical presence. His presence is still with me, and I need to honor him in my space, which means that I don't allow men to get that close up on me, right? Because that space is reserved for my husband. The only man other than my husband that can get that close up to me was my father, right? My cousin Marlon, because he's like my brother cousin. We literally call each other brother or sister, even though he's my first cousin. My best friend, she's not a man, so she don't count. But my sons, that's it. Other men are not permitted. I hug my uncles, but I hug them. Sometimes I hug them with that side arm. There you go. Right? My uncles are upstanding. They are upright. No foolishness going on. But I now have an awareness that my space, my movements, my position should be reflective of who I am and whose I am. And my husband does the same. So he ain't all rubbed up on no women unless it's his mom, his sister, and his sister is not that lovey-dovey. She hugs him. They have a very cordial and wonderful relationship, like best friends almost. But you don't see her hugging his neck and coming and kissing all over him or anything like that. That's not Esther, right? She loves her brother, but she recognizes and respects the space. Somebody need to hear that tonight, because when we accepted the Lord Jesus Christ as our Savior and as our Lord, what we said is, I give you permission to occupy the space in me and around me. And sometimes we rub up on some people, some things, some activities that essentially say, God, you're not welcome in this space. But as his children, as those who are to love him with all their heart, their mind, and their soul, there is no space around us or in us that should not include his presence. Yeah. So even when I'm alone with my computer and I think nobody is looking, nobody is around, God should be occupying the space of my internet. Hello, somebody. He should be occupying the space of my text messages. He should be occupying the space of the pictures that fall in or I send to somebody's DM. Somebody needs to hear me today. God needs to be occupying that space of your pocketbook. Some of y'all saying, oh, I love the Lord. He my everything. But you can leave a 15% tip for a waitress or a waiter after a good meal, but you struggle to give God 10% of what's already his. And the reason there's a struggle, there's resistance, is because there's something else in that space where God should be. Right? We have this dance in the house frequently. Right? I'm walking and some one of my kids, they just be, they'll come and just like walk, intercept right in front of me. I'm like, dude, you see I'm walking here? And then we do this shuffle around, and finally I'll be like, move, get out my way, right? Because I'm a bigger mass. It's harder for me to stop once I'm in once I'm in motion. You know, it's like trucks and cars. Car may be able to stop quickly, but that truck is gonna take a minute. I'm the truck in the house, okay? I need you to move out my way because it's gonna take me. I got a huge caboose, and it take me a little more. It take me it take me a little longer to stop. So you see me coming, don't walk in my way, move out my way. Because we both can't occupy the same space. And when we have occupied the same space, there's been injury, there's been hurt, there's been pain, there's been frustration. Am I talking to somebody today? Part of your frustration, I don't know what your frustration is, I don't know what is causing you pain. Could it be that you have allowed something, someone, somewhere to occupy the space where God should be? In your relationships, in your black book, in your phone book, in your Rolodex, however old you are, I know there's different, in your contact list. I got to bring it up to date, you know, on your smartwatch now. I don't know if kids have phone books anymore. It's just scroll select, whatever. Is God in that? Is he in that space? I can tell you this. If it is something that you wouldn't want somebody else to see, if it's something you wouldn't want your husband, your children, your significant other, your mama, your daddy to see, it could be that God is not in that space. So, as his children, everything about us should be yielded to him for his glory. Because as the church, we are the bride of Christ. And if anybody don't understand that, and I got to go back and explain the birds and the bees to you, then you catch me later and I'll explain it to you. But as the bride of Christ, we are no longer our own. We have been bought with a price. So our lives are not our own. Our money is not our own. When we got married, I ain't going to tell all my secrets, but there was a time where our finances did not occupy the same space. Uh huh. I had my bank accounts and my checking and my savings. Pastor E had his bank accounts, his saving, his checking, and then we had a shared space of check. Yeah, because it said, and the two shall become one. They don't come one overnight. It took a work. It took the Lord's work. Hallelujah. For us to become one. Right? In our closet. And for any of you all that think, oh, women just have so much clothes, I want to tell you right now, Pastor E got more clothes than I do. I purge frequently. And I have to tell Pastor E, I need you to move your stuff on your side of the closet because you taking up my space. Look, if y'all knew, y'all would pray for Pastor E a whole lot harder than y'all are. If y'all really knew how crazy Pastor T was. I'd be like, you're going to have to get rid of some stuff because now you over the line. Right? When we first got married, I was all on top of Pastor E. Sleeping. We were touching each other, go to sleep. My hand is on his face, on his shoulder, on his arm. Now there's an island. There's an island of pillows between us because I need one to support my shoulder, one to support my back. I got a pillow in front of me. I got about 10 pillows up under me. And then, when he turns and knocks my fortress off, I be like, dude, that's that was my back pillow. I got a leg pillow. I got feet pillows. I got all the pillows. Poor Pastor E, he only got about two pillows in the whole bed, you know. But but as his bride, we are occupying the same space as the bride of Christ. God should be occupying your space. Galatians 2 and 20, and I'm reading this from the English Standard Version. It says, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. So we have to allow God to occupy the same space where some other things are now. If we really want to love him and feel his presence and continuously live under his shadow and in his will, we got to move some stuff out. And that's where I kind of went off on a tangent. When I first moved here from Chicago, I didn't have a lot, right? Because I was moving from my mother's house. Okay? I moved from my mother's home to my husband's home. So I didn't have sofas, I didn't have microwaves, all of that. When I was in my mother's home, I contributed to that home as much as possible. But I understood that when it was time for me to leave, I wasn't taking furniture. I could take all my books. I could take my bed if I needed it, but I didn't. I could have taken all of my little nightstands and all of that, but I didn't. I took my clothes, my personal items, some books. I left dressers and all of that because I understood that I was now about to occupy a different space in my life. And so when I got here, Pastor E had intentionally and made preparation for me so that whatever I had that was coming with me, that there was room for it. Now, like I said, I didn't have a lot of stuff, but I had enough. So when I got here, there was still not enough space for my stuff. I had to make a decision. I was either going to throw his stuff out so that my stuff could fit, or I was going to get rid of some stuff so that we could mesh and become one. What happened? I started going through my books. I realized, oh, that's an old book. I don't need that book anymore. That was a very elementary book. I can give that away. I can send that to the Salvation Army. I could do that. I could do that. And I started dwindling down to that which was actually necessary for me to be in this new relationship, this new position, this new movement in my life, so that my husband would have space to be with me. And as a reciprocal, we went through his stuff too. Like, no, you don't need that no more. You don't need that no more. You don't need that no more. Oh, you can send that to your mama and them. That ain't even yours. Go get that back. You borrowed this and no, get that out of here. Right? But we did it because we wanted to be in each other's space. We wanted to be in each other's presence. We did not want anything to be a hindrance to our relationship. And that didn't just include things, that included some people. right? We may not have gotten rid of them, but what we did was intentionally put a boundary. Hello, somebody, around our marriage and around our family, around our unit, around our covenant, and said, you can still be around, excuse me, you can still be around, but you can no longer occupy this space next to me because that is now reserved for my husband and or my wife. And people that love you and mean you well and really about seeing you grow and your happiness and things like that, they understand taking a step back so that it can be filled, ooh, with the presence of the lover of your soul. And so my mom, who's been my mom for 100 years, right? That would make her at least 101 and me about 99. No, I'm just kidding. My mother, my mother, who was always occupying my space. I came from a single family home, right? It was just me and mom. My mom understood the assignment and she says, you gonna always be my baby. I'ma always be concerned about you. I'ma always be looking out for your welfare. I'ma always be in your corner. I'm gonna be always here. If I need to fight, don't mess up, Pastor E, right? Cause mama there. But she honored us by removing herself from that space. What the Bible say up in Genesis, it says, therefore shall a man and a man leave and his family, his old bowling buddies, his old pool buddies, his old what's all them card games? Poker and bridge and spades buddies, and cleave unto his wife. Hello, his golfing buddies, yo girl trip buddies, yo every Friday lunch buddies. Look, I my brain is on the blank right now, but I could run down some stuff, and cleave unto his wife, and the two shall become one. A lot of trouble starts right there in the beginning because nobody is willing to get rid of, make room for, allow space for who is actually supposed to be there. My father in love, Poppy was never a man who occupied our space. He prayed for us, he blessed us, but he understood the assignment. Poppy was like, all right, I love y'all. Call me if you need me. He understood this is now Everett's wife. My mother understood this is now Trina's husband. My best friend understood this is now my girl's man. I can't monopolize her time the way I used to. I can't call her at 3 o'clock, even though she really can. But she now became respectful because it was no longer just me. I can't call her at 3 o'clock unless, there's blood, guts, and tears. I can't just call her. I don't want to disturb her household. But I thank God for the man that he gave me, that even that he was like, if Stacy needs to call, she can call, right? But we made intentionally made room for each other because we wanted to make sure that we were saving space for the Lord. I mean, for each other. And we have to be intentional about making space for the Lord. So, what is it? What is it that is in your space that God is supposed to be in? And I already gave some examples. But have you made space for God in your closet? Have you made space for God in your playlist of Spotify or YouTube music or Prime Music or what's the other music apps? See, I don't even know. Have you made space for God in your playlist? Or is Beyonce still there? Oh, is Chris Brown still there? Is Cardi B with WAP still there? Oh, unless some of y'all be like, all these young folks, look, I ain't exactly ancient, but I'm old enough to know that some of the songs we used to talk about, right? We try and act like these young people's music is just so vulgar and stuff like that. Some of y'all remember Betty White. I ain't talking about the white Betty White. I'm talking about the black one who had some very salacious lyrics. Some of us remember the OJs. Mama, who is that? In between the sheets. Who you sing that? So some of us need to make some space in our own playlist before we start talking about our young people. Yep. What was that song I used to my father was an avid music lover. He had everything from Elvis to Poison, heavy metal. That was mostly my sister's music, but he loved everything in between. So, but there was this song. What is that song? What was that song? Oh, if loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. Who? Why was loving her wrong? Because she was occupied, or she should have been occupied in a space where you shouldn't have been, right? I mean, so we can't jump on the young people too bad now, because we got some playlists where God should be occupying. Now, a couple of years ago, Bishop Jakes understood that God should be in our playlist. And he tried to do, what was that? Satin Sheets. Uh, what was the name of that song? Satin Sheets Slide or Silk Don't Slide. Somebody know that song. And that brother, look, Bishop Jakes is an entrepreneur. He is a wonderful preacher. He's an excellent teacher. He's prolific, profound, all of that. But I'm gonna tell you one thing. When I was trying to occupy space with my husband, I was not trying to hear Bishop Jakes' voice. I got him off my playlist real quick and replaced him with a little Barry White. The voice was deep enough around the same tone and tenor. And I even had to replace some of Barry White because Barry White, you know, God had to get in that space too. But y'all understand what I'm saying, right? Is God in your playlist? Is he in your closet? Is there something that may fit? And even though you have the body for it, is it a distraction so that when people see you, they see your sunshine, but they don't see the sun? Y'all see this little doily thingy? Cause I'm about to give y'all right here. Okay, my son went. Y'all can see it. I'm about to give y'all a visual in a minute. But we what is God in your education? Is God in your fraternal activities? Ooh. Mm. Have you made space for God, or do you tolerate him? Do you put him down for your Eastern Stars luncheon on Sunday when you should be in church? Or your Delta luncheon, or your AKA luncheon, or your Sigma luncheon, or your Kappa luncheon, or your Q luncheon, okay, your Iota luncheon, or your Brulee, whatever luncheon, or your Mason luncheon. Oh, have you made room for God in that? Have you made room for God in your TV watching habits? Mm. If God was sitting beside you watching the same soap operas you looking at, Would God have to cover his eyes like this? And oh, all of the fornication and the adultery, just everybody swapping slob and husbands and spouses. Oh my. Mm. Have we made room for God in our financial places? Oh, let me explain this to you. Come on, come on. Let's go Bible. Let's go Bible. Uh, let's go to Second Kings, the fourth chapter, verses 8 through 10. Second Kings, fourth chapter, verses 8 through 10. So what was happening is that Elisha would run revival in the town. I'm bringing it up to 21st century, okay? He would run revival in the town, and she was always such a gracious host that Elisha would always stop by her house. I don't know if she made the best greens or ham hocks or club sandwiches or whatever, but they had a good relationship. She was a Shunammite woman, right? And every time he would come by, she would make sure that he was taken care of. It got to the point that she went to her husband and said, "Baby, the man of God is always coming, for revival around this time. And them hotels, they kind of expensive. And, there's some people that be like hanging around his room and stuff like that. Can we make a space for him here?" And the husband said, "Baby, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do that." So one day Elisha went to Shunem, where an important woman lived. She asked Elisha to stop and eat at her house. So every time Elisha went through that place, he stopped there to eat. Say the fastest way to a man's heart is through his stomach. She must have been throwing down because Elisha came by like, "You home?" Verse 9 says, the woman said to her husband, "Look, I can see that Elisha is a holy man of God. He passes by our house all the time. Please let's make a little room on the roof for him. Let's put a bed in the room and a table, a chair, and a lampstand. Then when he comes to our house, he can have this room for himself." Verse 10 says, and it's understood that the husband agreed, right? So verse 11 says, one day Elisha came to the woman's house. He went to this room and rested there. Elisha said to his servant Giza, "Call this Shunammite woman." The servant called the Shunammite woman and said in front of Elisha. Elisha told his servant, "Now say to her, look, you have done your best to take care of us. What can we do for you? Do you want us to speak to the king for you or to the captain of the army?" She said, "I'm good. I am good. I don't need nothing. I don't want nothing. I'm good." And I want y'all to read the rest of that for homework because I'm already over my time. But what did that do? She opened and made space with her resources so that the work could continue. How many of you all have made space with your resources? Maybe it's not financial. Maybe it's political. Maybe it is status. Maybe you could just speak a word to help somebody get a job. I'm not talking about favoritism. I'm not talking about you scratch my hand, I scratch yours. I'm not talking about that kind of thing. But because of the desire to please the Lord, to be good to the men and women of God, you make your resources available for God and for God's people, for God's things, for the building of his temple. Have you made your resources available? Have you made space in your time and your talents? Are you out gigging every weekend to bring money in, but you won't play for your church? You won't even help out. You got a recording contract. I'm not saying you got to be there every week, but if can you help out? Can you help in the music ministry? Can you submit to the music ministry, even if you ain't in charge? And allow God to use the gift and the talent that you have in order to be a blessing to the kingdom. Have you made room for God to use that part, to occupy that space? There's so many areas that God needs to be, not even just wants to be, but he needs to be, but it's occupied with something else. And when we say, God, like the woman at the well, fill me up, does he have an empty vessel to fill, or is there still stuff in there that he has to fight with, that he has to contend with? God, I give you 3 Sundays out a month, but it can't be during my baseball season. It can't be during my Super Bowl season. It can't be during this time. We have to make space for God in everything, in all of our heart, in our mind. Do we make space for God in our mind? The thoughts that we think about people, the people we want to say our Sunday school words, but if God is in that space, what's the scripture for that? The scripture is, let this mind be in you, which is also in Christ Jesus. If he's occupying the space in your mind, you're not thinking negative thoughts. You're not thinking unholy thoughts. You're not thinking how to key somebody's car and how to bust somebody's window. You're thinking of things that are honest, lovely, just, pure, and of good report. Can he occupy that space in your mind? I'm closed with this demonstration because I think I didn't say it everything I need to say. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying. But I want to show you this. I want to show you this principle. And I want to ask you, which vessel are you? Give me a moment. My knees don't always, I need Jesus in my knee, y'all. All right. Jesus be a knee brace in the name of Jesus. All right. Can I just do, I used to be a teacher, y'all. Well, I'm still a teacher. But I just am not occupying the middle school classroom anymore. But can we do a little demonstration? Can we do a little demonstration? So focus your attention now upon the exhibit that is upon you. Okay, let's take a look here. Let's take a look. See, can y'all see that? I don't see nothing. Is it there? Okay, y'all see that? All right. So here we have two vessels. This is the willing and yielded vessel to God. This is what we should be right here. Y'all see that? Clean, empty, ready to be filled. But this here, this on here is what a lot of us are like. We saying, fill my cup, Lord. I lift it up, Lord, but it's dirty. It's occupied. It got so much stuff. It got bitterness in here. It got my career, my goals, my dreams. It has malice in here. It has my Sunday school my Sunday school words up in here. And we're saying, God, fill my cup, Lord. Okay, well let's see what that looks like. Okay? Where's my Holy Spirit? And you know that water is symbolic of the presence of God, his spirit. Oop, my thing, come over a little closer because my headset thing. This is God right here. Can y'all see that? Can you see that? Tilt it up just a little bit. Wait a minute. Okay, I think I got it. This is God right here. And we're saying, God, I want you to occupy my space. And so when we make room for him, like Jonathan McReynolds said, like the Shunammite woman said, then he comes and he fills our cup. You see how easy that is? No resistance, no tension, just a yielded and willing vessel to be filled by God. Look at that. How beautiful that is. Y'all see that? That's beautiful. Easy. Easy peasy. No struggle. No fighting God. Right? But this is a lot of us. And quiet as kept, this used to be me. It's still me in some areas. If I'm gonna be honest, we're gonna be honest here. There's still some places where I struggle with yielding completely. Yes, the pastor. Yes, the preacher. Yes, the holy woman of God. And let's see how that works. So we put this in here. Oh, are y'all seeing that? That's most of us. We got a little bit of that. This is a direct representative of my T-shirt that says I'm half hood and half holy. Don't play with me, pray with me. This what that is. Do this look like Jesus right here? That don't look like God. So then he got to keep pouring into us till we get full of ourselves. And we still no good. Do you see that? It's not until we allow him to. And for some of us, it take a little time. Yeah, I'm going to need some more water. Some of us, we got childhood trauma. We got bad habits. We got everything in here. Our pride. Our ego. Do y'all see how much I'm pouring up in this thing? Do y'all see that? And it's still filled with us. Over here, yielded, submitted, surrendered. This, we full of it. We full of it. Oh my goodness. And he keeps pouring. Why we making God work so hard? He had already paid the price. He had already sacrificed his life. Now, is there a difference? Yeah, we can start seeing a difference. But we still got so much stuff occupying where God should be. This right here is ready to be used. This right here is safe for people to drink from. Some of us are like this, trying to minister to God. We're contaminated because God don't have space to really use us. So when we preach our messages, it's contaminated with our own feelings and our emotions. It's contaminated with who hurt us today or last week. But we're saying, God, I want to be used. And because God is so loving, because he's so faithful, because he already did a finished work on the cross, he keeps saying, while you were yet sinners, I died. I'm still willing to pour into you. And as much as it takes, as long as you keep the top off, as long as you become a willing vessel, if you allow me to keep pouring into you, if you allow the word to start washing over you, if you allow your prayer life to be every day consistent and not just, that childhood what's that childhood prayer, God is good, God is great. God is good. Lord, we thank you for our food. Now, is there movement? Yeah, we see some movement, right? But still occupied. Ooh. And some of us, like myself, give me a stir. We hold on to that stuff. We hold on to that, and we keep saying, God, I wanna be used by you. I want to be a blessing to people, but we're still occupied, right? We about to be done. We about to be done. I need this. Go ahead and feel this. Now look, I'm about because we got to get out of here. I need to stir this up a little bit. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There you. The Bible says the word of God is like a two-edged sword. Now this ain't got two edges, but we're gonna pretend this got another edge, and it is cutting and dividing the very thoughts and intents of our hearts. So we get in there with the word, and it start loosening up some stuff that was impacted. You know, some of y'all that have digestive issues understand what impaction means. Means you full of it. Uh-huh. But when the word gets in there, look at that. All that bitterness, all that anger. Can we get some more word in us? Ooh, the word and the water. Oh my goodness. The word and the water. The word and the water. And then people start saying, you don't act the same way you used to. We become kinder to our spouses. We become better stewards of our finances. Do y'all see the Lord working? Do you see God working when we make room for him? And the word keeps going, and the water keeps flowing, and the word keeps going, and the water keeps flowing, and the word keeps going, and the water keeps flowing. Now look, I could keep going. I'm not going to because I'm going to have a whole mess. But this is what happens when we make room. All of that starts coming out, and we get filled more and more with his love. We start exhibiting the fruit of the Spirit. Now, I could wash this thing completely out so that it's clear like this, right? But the truth of the matter is, as long as we are wrapped in sinful flesh, there's still going to be some dirt in us. There's still going to be times where we're going to have to go back and kneel at the cross. There's still going to be some times where we're going to have to say, I'm sorry for acting such a fool. There's still going to be some times where we try to sneak some stuff back in there. But if you keep allowing the word of God and the water, his presence, his spirit to occupy where you are, your space, your time, your possessions, your will, people will begin to see you more and more like a yielded vessel. They begin to see more of Christ and less of you. They begin to see what the world needs to see, and that is the love and the redeeming work that Christ did on Calvary. He begins to get the glory in our lives when we make room for him. I got to go, but I just want to ask the question, what can he move over in your life? What do you need to not even have him to have to do the heavy lifting? What can you today get rid of to make room for God? What attitude What perception, what thought process can you get rid of? See, I could have just dumped that whole thing over and just made room for him, but some of us stubborn. But what do you need to make? What do you need to move to make room for God? And what are you allowing His Word and His Spirit to move in you? Can you really love Him with all your heart, your mind, and your soul if you're occupied? The answer is you might love Him a little bit, like at the beginning, but how much more would your relationship be more fruitful, more powerful, more fulfilling? Would you make, would be your life if you yielded to the Master? I want to say today, yield to Him in everything that you do. Take an inventory. I can't take it for you because I don't know what the activities and the positions and the movements of your life are. I know what they are for me. But what are they for you? Take inventory and allow Him to show you the areas where He wants to occupy that something or someplace or someone is in. And then allow Him to occupy so that He can fulfill His perfect will in your life. God, we thank you. We thank you for this time, for revealing to us that we need to make room for you. We thank you, God, for showing us that there are some things that we need to move over if we really want more of you. I pray, oh God, that you will help us with our stubbornness. Help us with our selfishness. Help us, God, to really be yielded to you fully and completely. God, our prayer tonight is I surrender all. God, we want you to fill us. And we don't want to just be filled somewhat, God, but we want you to fill us up to the brim, God, and take full control of our lives. And God, when you do that, when we allow you space in every aspect of our lives, God, we just say thank you because we know that the results are going to be wonderful. We thank you in advance for the healing that's going to take place. We thank you in advance for the deliverance that's going to take place. We thank you in advance that that pain that we've been carrying around will be dissipated. God, we thank you in advance that we will be new and made whole. So God, we thank you. And we bless you now. We thank you for being patient with us and never giving up on us. Keep working on us, God, and we will make room for you today, tomorrow, and forever. In Jesus' name, we pray. Amen. Amen. I thank you all for being with us. This concludes our senses of the Word, of God's Word. I pray that you all will go back and look at the lessons and that you will reflect on how to really fulfill that command to love the Lord with all your heart, your mind, and your soul by using your senses every day to please Him. And I pray that you will continue to reap the benefits of being a yielded vessel to be able to be used by Him and bring God glory. I love you all. I thank you all. Should God say the same, we'll be back here next week. We're getting ready to come to a close, or a brief pause, I should say, for our summer vacation. But we'll be back here next week. Should God say the same. Take care. Have a great evening. And make room. Make room for Jesus in your life. If by chance, because this is one of those messages where I, I would be remiss to ask, or not to ask, if someone needs to know the Lord Savior as Jesus as their Lord and Savior, and you said, God, I want to make room for you tonight, I want you to pray this prayer. I want you to say, Dear God, I thank you that you have brought me to such a time as this. I thank you for being so loving and so kind, that you have brought me to a realization that not only have you made room for me, but that I need to make room for you. And so, God, I'm asking that you will forgive me of all of my sins. Come into my heart and save me. I confess now you as the risen Lord and Savior, and for your finished work on Calvary. And I thank you now for saving me. In Jesus' name, amen. If you prayed that prayer, we want to celebrate with you. So make sure you contact us one of three ways. It'll be dropped down in the chat. Contact us on our website at www.thebridgebelievercenter.org. Click on that link that says connect and let us know that you've committed your life. You made a choice to make room for Christ tonight. And we're going to contact you, leave your name and some contact information. We will get back with you ASAP, because we don't want you to feel like you're alone. Or you can shoot us an email at thebridgebelievercenter@gmail.com, or you can even call us at 202-583-8222. Whatever it is, make sure that you leave your name and information that we can get back in contact with you, because we want to welcome you to the family and we want to help you on your next steps. Amen. I love you all. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And God loves you best. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Good night.